The Seattle, Oregon, Idaho, and Washington State Wine Awards are proud to highlight our 2022 tasting panel and their expertise on evaluating nearly 1,000 wines, mead, and ciders from the bountiful vineyards and orchards of the Pacific Northwest.
Hi there, I'm Elton Nichols. I'm one of the panelists for the Seattle Wine Awards, Washington Wine Awards, as well as Oregon and Idaho. I'm proud to be here. It's really great to be able to represent some of the restaurateurs in Washington.
Each member of the tasting panel brings their unique palate, experience, and perspective to this single-blind evaluation format.
I was with Panelist Restaurant for the last 8.5 years, but just recently joined with Galaxy Wine Company. We just opened for business back in January.
Each tasting team works both collectively and independently while sharing dialogue and commentary about wine styles, varietal characteristics, and winemaking.
Typically, we're talking about things like historical trends in the Pacific Northwest, both from decades past as well as even current things that are going on. For instance, we just had a flight of Albarino wines, which I don't think you could have done that 5 or 10 years ago to have a flight full of an entire table of Albarino. And so it's really interesting to see what the voice of the Northwest is going to be as this variety emerges on the scene.
The Seattle Wine Awards process is unique in its integrity and thoroughness. This is only possible with the superior leadership and support from our wine team, service team, and tasting panelists.
Part of the trick to evaluating this many wines is having tasted so many wines in the past. So when you go to these large trade tastings where there's 200 tables and each table has 8 wines, at the early parts of your career you get this palate fatigue, and eventually your body builds up a resistance to that, and you build up the ability to still taste through it. And then also taking meticulous notes. If you are not taking notes as you're tasting through that many wines, it all starts to blur together. But when you do pay attention and you break a wine down into its component pieces, you're able to really differentiate and separate each of the wines based on very specific criteria. As a judge, one of the best things that Chris and his team do is very thorough and careful vetting of the wines before they come out. So we're midway, most of the way through the first day of tasting, and we have not hit a single corked wine yet. So there's always going to be bottle variation and things like that, but as far as actual flaws, which the winemaker can't control, those have already been vetted out by the very capable team that's been proofing those for us. So that's the biggest thing that Chris does. And then, again, the really elaborate snack bar, you're talking little plastic containers filled with bacon. So it's just fun to have little quick treats. You get a small dopamine squirt from your brain, then you can get back to tasting and taking things seriously.
Thanks for supporting our fantastic regional producers, and cheers to the best in Pacific Northwest wine and cider.